Yesterday's hot January inflation data prompting a sharp drop in tech stocks. Joining us right now with more on the sector is Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asse Management. Has the calculation or valuation issue changed given what we're seeing in terms of CPI? And then obviously what I think folks think Jay Powell is actually no longer going to be doing anytime soon.
Andrew, I think it does. I think it pushes back what that inflection point is. I'm a believer that we're going to get to a 3 to 5 year bull market here powered by AI. But investors need to get on the right side in terms of when we're going to see these rates start to go down. Expectations now, I think, are for June. And my sense is it's probably going to be later than that. I think this is just the most sticky part, and I think is a good reminder to inflation does matter in the near term with tech stocks. And Andrew, just to emphasize this point, it may seem subtle to push back a window by 2, 3, 4 months, but if we look back at 2021, different environment, rates were going up at that time, but the Mag 7 was down 32% in the 6 months from October of 21 when those rates started to peak. And then if you look at the emerging tech within the Nasdaq, that was down 70%. And so rates do matter. I think investors are still off sides when it comes to when to expect some of these cuts. It does dampen some of my enthusiasm because, as I mentioned, I'm very bold up about where this ultimately is going to go. But investors need to right size when these rate cuts are going to happen.
Given what you just suggested, then, what do? You want to own none of this? You just want to wait? And when would you be in?
So I think that it is wise to be mostly in now because, again, I think we're going to this 3 to 5 year bull market. We talked about the negative lever related to inflation, but there is a massive positive lever related to AI. And investors have struggled about how to kind of capture and guess what the impact is going to be. And my sense is that you need to put this on a spectrum of AI and its impact and other paradigm shifts. And I would put the PC at a 20, mobile 25, the internet 50, electricity at 100, a scale 1 to 100. Electricity is at 100. AI is 99. It would be 100 if it not for you need electricity to power AI. So when you have that perspective, when I have that perspective, and I think about what's going on with these interest rates and inflation and where investors are in the near term, I think you can get kind of misled into worrying about what's going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months. And ultimately, if this is as big of a paradigm shift as I think it is, even if it's half as big, I think we could see the Nasdaq move up considerably, 2x in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, different question. We were talking earlier about the Instagram post and Facebook post that Zuck put out about the Meta Quest 3 versus Vision Pro. I said I think for right now I agree with him. I think it's I think for the use case they may be the winner, and for most people who can't really afford $3,500, it's a pretty great product at $500. What do you think?
I think at this point it's a good product at 500. I don't think it's mainstream. They've sold, call it 8 million units before. The last 6 years leading up to Quest 3, they've probably done another 1 million units since that's come out. And so I think it's good, but I still don't think it's still such a big gap between what Vision Pro is. And of course, there's a big price gap. It's a 7x price gap there too. I would just sum it up that I don't think it's mainstream yet. I don't think Quest 3 is mainstream. It will be the alternative to Vision Pro. And I will put another stake in the ground here. Is that over the next 5 to 10 years, spatial computing, whether you call it spatial computing or the metaverse, is going to be something. Meta's got a lot of work to do to catch up to even get close to where Apple is. I think that they will help close that gap, and I think they will be the spatial computing metaverse device for 80% of the world, and Apple's going to own the 20%.
Wow. Okay, so that means but that would be like being a winner. I mean, a lot of people are sort of writing off Meta, and I think I've been saying the whole time is you may think that the Vision Pro device is better, and technically in so many ways it is, but when you add the weight and the cost and all these other things, and then you look at this other product, you say to yourself, okay, maybe at least for now, and it could be like an Android.
I think that's the right analogy. That's exactly how I think about it. This is Apple versus Android. In this case, Meta's going to have control of the 80%. Google, really, Samsung, they're nowhere to be found here. And it is just surprising to me how how slow that they have been to move here. So I think that this is an advantage to Meta. As Meta shareholders, I wish they wouldn't be spending $15 billion a year on Reality Labs. I think that they could accomplish what they're doing for half that much. But they are, I think, this is a force of will of Zuckerberg. When Zuckerberg puts his mind to something, so he's going to have a device that's going to be good enough to capture that 80%. And once app developers, of course, start to make progress, I think you're going to see more of this adoption curve. It's going to take years to get there, but it's going to be Apple and Meta when it comes to spatial computing.
Gene, very quickly, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. What were you saying? You think AI is going to push the Nasdaq to 2 to 3 times the level in the next 2 to 3 years? Or did I mishear that? Because you're thinking Nasdaq 30,000 to 45,000 in the next 2 to 3 years?
I believe we're going into a 3 to 5 year bull market that is going to end with a bubble. The bubble will burst, but I think we're in the front end of that 3 to 5 year bull market. If you look at what the Qs are trading at now, Nasdaq's trading about 28 times. It peaked at 100 times back in 2000. Now, because of the weightings of the mega caps, we're not going to see, a 3x return here. But if I'm right that this is, in fact, much bigger than what the internet is, you can build a case that there will be capital rushing in to enable this AI, and you will see a bubble emerging. And so whether it's a 2x or a 3x, I don't know what it is, but I do know that AI is going to be transformative and power the market higher.